customer side and bring up some autonomous system and configuring the BGP router, we often had a call to some provider administrator and say, okay, we have set up the BGP router, and can we exchange now the password for the MD5 encryption? And sometimes the provider administrator said to us, we don't have a process for using MD5 authentication in our BGP. And then we said, oh, what? Not? Okay, so maybe you are lucky and you have an MD5 authentication on your BGP network. Maybe you're working with some other internet provider, and you don't not have this possibility. So we have set up some interesting, neat tools, or Daniel has programmed it. So he will tell us about the tool BGP CLI, and later on the tool BGP MD5 crack.
Yeah. Okay. Enough theory. Let's get into practice. First, I want to demonstrate you a tool which is called BGP CLI, the command line interface for BGP. It's just a little Python CLI which enables you to speak with an BGP-enabled peer. It can peer with an BGP peer. It can insert some BGP information, and of course you can use and brute force the MD5 keys. Okay, so we will switch to the first demo. Hopefully.
So it's Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
We actually prefer to make it working. Okay.
Okay, so I will first launch up the BGP CLI, which is this little nice Python shell. After that, I have to configure some global parameters. I have to set up my session with two params. The first is my AS number I'm using, and the second one is just my hold timer. I'm using a really short hold timer just for debugging purposes, that I don't have to wait, actually, I don't know, 3 minutes for my BGP session to terminate. So after I set up my global session information, I can connect to an BGP-enabled peer. So the BGP connection is established, there are some hello packages exchanged, and the keep alive thread is started in the background to keep the BGP session open. After I got connected to a BGP speaking peer, I can build up my BGP message. In this case, it's a BGP update message, which just says, okay, hello peer, I got some new routing information, and which is I am your next hop for this network, and this network actually is a Square 24 network. So once I build these update messages, I can send them out to the BGP speaking peer, and after that I will shortly switch back to Roger. He will show you that the router actually got a new peer popping up and accept this routing information. So let's switch back.
And of course use the auto detection of the monitor of Apple. A couple of seconds. Here we are. Okay, I'm now connected to an Cisco device, which is an MPLS device. And as you see, the information said, oh, here's some new BGP5 adjacency, and there's a new neighbor with the IP address 10.0.0.2, and this one is now up. If I go and show IP route, I will see now there's a new BGP route.
So this route pronounces the network. I just put into my updates statement, and you see the next hop is my IP address. So actually I could redirect traffic for this destination network to my own host,
which will be shown later on.
Yeah, right. Okay, so Once I terminate the BGP CLI, you will see the peer goes down and the routing information is lost. So there is no more route for the destination network. Okay, next thing is you say, oh yeah, okay, all right.
So I'll switch back to Daniel.
Yeah. Okay, but we're using MD5. So, okay, I just changed my IP address, so I'm now an other BGP peer which is configured with an MD5 key. And if I try to open the session the same as this as last time, so set up session parameter and try to connect to the peer, I will run into a timeout. This is because I don't send the right MD5 signature option. There are some things you could do. You could do some online brute forcing, which means just try to connect to that peer with some randomized BGP secret. The other thing you can do, which is the better way, is just to sniff one of the SYN packets from your BGP peer, because it's SYNing you all the time. We want to establish a BGP connection, and these SYN packages are also MD5 signed. So if you got one of these packages, you can just do an offline brute forcing with the tool BGP MD5 crack. It just takes a PCAP file. This is a pre-recorded BGP MD5 SYN packet, and in this case I will do a word list brute force with a prepared word list. So I will start this. The tool just tries to enumerate the right MD5 secret for this SYN packet, and you see after around 6 seconds it got around 4 million tries and found the right secret for this connection. Okay, the next thing is we will just transfer that secret back to the BGP CLI and set secret for the known peer. And after that we can set up the session parameters and connect to the peer. So once we are connected, we can do the same game as last time, build our update statement and send out the update. So when we switch back to Roga,
after a couple of seconds.
Yes. You will see there are some error messages which says, okay, bad MD5 digest. This was the first attempt where I got no MD5 secret configured, and after that you see, okay, new neighbor is coming up, and the show IP route will show you the inserted BGP route. So again, we are in a situation where we can redirect traffic on a global scope.
Yeah, and the really interesting thing about this is we can perform an offline brute force attack which is not detected on the network. Normally if you're doing a brute force attack against a device, some logging mechanisms will show the administrator or some tool you're using to detect such brute force attacks, oh, beware, there's some attacker on the network. We're sniffing a SYN packet and do the brute force offline, so nobody will ever see that we are now can use the key to do such an attack. Yeah, but for complete mistake, the interesting thing is we're doing a lot of on-site consulting and penetration testing, and at a 40K user environment, a really big company in Germany, they are using also some MPLS and some BGP. And when we were auditing their configuration on the Cisco devices, we found such a password. Why does it used or be used to Cisco, such a simple password? The answer is simple. The company used the support from a big consulting company also, and they are all over the world to support companies by building up some MPLS and BGP networks. And they have a guide, and this guide describes how to set up a BGP and MPLS network. And if they bring up